Hi, welcome back to Polymer Clay channel. So today I'm going to decorate a candle holder and it's going to be inspired by my book, which is lots of different flowers and things like that. So this is just a normal folder that I've got and I keep all my great ideas for my videos in it. So because I like the colours so much, I've decided to go with a design that I can make on this, and it's going to be sparkly and it's going to have loads of glitter on it, of course, but mainly what I'd like to do is trial out the Arteza set that I've got right here. So the Arteza set is right here. So this is chock full of colours and it's got some tools and bits and pieces here as well. So I'm going to get this all out and show you what it does, what it can do, what it can't do, and it's going to be great. So today's project I'm going to make with Arteza products, and these are the clay that I've got here and then also the mica powders. So I'm going to be using both of these today. I have dabbled in using some of them before, but I want to give them a good go, see what I can make out of them, see what the style of the clay is like, how it cooks, and I think it's going to be great. So this is a review video and also one to show you how to make a candle holder. So here we go. Okay, so now we've got the down view. I'll show you exactly what we've got in here. So I'm going to get them all out. Wish me luck getting it all back in. So as I said, these are absolutely brilliant for someone who wants to just make small things like jewellery and stuff like that. I think that's what the set is for. There's some little bits and bobs which I'll go through in just a minute. So as you can see, what this does is kind of avoid having to mix and things like that. So it will work really well for someone who is just starting out and wants to play with every single colour you can possibly imagine. There's loads of different styles of pink here, purples. As you can see, some of these are very, very similar. This one's slightly darker. And then you've got some bright greens. And as I said, there is absolutely loads here. They are, as I said before, they are 28 grams. And a normal block of clay is, well, what I would use is Fimo, and that's 56 grams. And I think they're doing it up to 86 grams, but it depends on the brand. So if you go for Sculpting, I think that's a slightly bigger block. These do feel quite soft, and one of the things that I do to see if a block of clay is going to be quite easily conditioned is to press the corners, and I do that religiously now, to be honest, just to see. I do have an awful lot of clay that's a lot older. So as I said, there's, you know, loads here. There's even one's called burnt amber. They've all got nice names. So that's all the clay. So if you are a newbie to this, you've got so much opportunity. So when I started with clay, I'd only heard of the brand Fimo, so that's what I started. I was about 14, so very many years ago. But nowadays, if you're just starting out with clay, there are so many different brands and so many different styles to choose from that it can be a little overwhelming. I have to say, I look at clay now and I think, wow, that wasn't around when I first started. So this is another reason why I'm doing this. So this would be really good for someone just starting out, and also who wants to make jewellery and things like that, because you've got a wide array of colours and you haven't got to mix anything. And if someone wants what's this one, copper, this one's got sort of a slightly shimmery effect to it, they want some earrings in that, or you know, anything really. This is dolphin grey apparently. So it really sort of takes out the worry of having to mix a load of colours. But I will be mixing today, just giving it a go and seeing what how well this mixes, and we're going to test some of this out. So move all this out of the way, moving on to the tools. Now for those of you that have seen some of my other videos, I do use a plastic tool quite religiously. It's a Fimo own brand one, but to be honest, any plastic tool would work. I just use the same one that works for me. With these, I haven't actually had these out before, so you can see lots of different sort of marks on them, and I think the idea of this is so that you could press it into the clay. This bit could be used for sculpting parts of the clay out, and then you've got a different shape here. And with this you can make all sorts of designs. Not sure what I would use that for. I guess you could make some very deep star looking shapes in them. This one here at the end has got some little texture patterns as well, and there's some diamond shapes here. And again, this one has got some markings on the middle there for some textures, and this has like a serrated edge to it, and on the end this is a sharper point, and that would be handy for making points in. So that's the tools. I'll show you how I'm going to use these tools today to make something, just to show what they're like really. So these are the bits and pieces that comes with it. So there's a key ring, and then there's lots of these little, I think these are phone tags or something, I forget what they're called really. There's quite a few of these, so there's 3 I think, or there's 4. So there's 4 of those, and then you've got some wooden beads, a mix of colours there, and then you've got a little brooch, and this is for making a little ring, very small actually, that one. And then there's a little hair clip, and then lots of bits of wire to make the jewellery from. And these are what they call findings, so these are the little wire here with the eye pin already ready to go, and then the little earring hooks as well. So there's quite a lot of direction towards making little jewellery pieces, so that's quite good, so you sort of get started straight away. Okay, so on here there's a little strange shape, and this you would use to push into the clay. So you'd make something, and then to pop it on you push that into the clay, and then you have a little charm. So this is really good in terms of the actual quantity that you've got here. These are actually quite good as well. Again, if you're starting out, I wouldn't recommend buying loads of expensive tools or anything. These feel quite strong as well, and they're quite sharp, so they're not, so you can get some good markings in them. They're not blunt or anything, and there's quite a lot here in terms of making something. So once you've purchased this, you're sort of good to go really. You haven't got to find loads of other things to go with it. So to purchase this as a set, you're looking at quite a good amount of products in here. So I've popped these all away. In terms of what you get here is absolutely brilliant, to be honest. You buy one kit and you've got everything here to start making, and I would say this is a really good kit for making things out of that's your first go. You know, you pick up everything individually normally. I mean, I've grown my supplies over time, but if you are just starting out and you're not too sure of what brands of clay you'd like to use, I think this is really good. There aren't any instructions in here. It's a very plain box. It tells you what colours there are and what they're all called, but there isn't any actual instructions as to how to use the clay, other than 1 to 4 here. It says make sure your hands are clean, knead the clay until soft and smooth, shape the clay by using the tools from your kit, and then oven bake, and it gives you the directions to oven bake. And it does actually note here that oven temperatures may vary, which is very true. I've not baked any of the Arteza clay yet, so sometimes the clay can be a little darker after baking, so we'll see how that goes. So the pricing for all of this is $25.89 at the moment on Amazon, and you get the 42 colours with it, which I think is absolutely brilliant. It's a good little set to buy for someone who is just starting out, as I said, but also because this is quite soft, it's really good for kids as well. So if you wanted to buy something for your kids, they've got all the plastic tools to go with it, and these are obviously quite safe for children to use. It does say on here 8+, so I wouldn't recommend it based on the instructions of the box any younger than 8, but under supervision I'm sure, you know, children would get a lot of enjoyment out of this. So I think in terms of the amount of clay that you get for the price, I think it's really good. Make an excellent present for somebody. Although I noticed on here there isn't any magnets or anything like that. Magnets are fairly cheap that you can purchase, and you wouldn't need a particularly strong one to hold up any of this clay, because obviously these are really quite small, so I should imagine anything you make wouldn't be too big, otherwise you'd have to mix several packets together. So yeah, it's a shame there's no magnets with this, because I think that's a good starting point for anyone who's making things for their first go. So I'm going to move on to the mica powders now. Okay, so this is the Mica Powders. There's 35 in here. I just want to show you the little bottles. In some of them you'll notice that they're only half full. I haven't got the little card in here, but there was one that says that sometimes the weight is different based on the colours, so they won't be completely full. I wish I still had it really, because then I could read it out exactly, but there is like a disclaimer inside the box to say that these do settle, and it is dependent on the mixture of colours as to how much you actually get in here, because I was a little concerned that some of mine were only half full, so just bear that in mind when you do get them. So it does come with a really cute little spoon, and that's really handy to use, quite a nice idea. So I'm just going to turn this over. So with the Arteza boxes, quite often a lot of the information is either on the top or the underside of the boxes, and it goes through from start to finish exactly what is in the box. Of course, if you open it up and then realise that you want to read the instructions, you're going to have to close it again. So it says here that this is actually safe for colouring soap, bath bombs and cosmetics. And obviously at the bottom here, disclaimer saying that it's non-edible, so no sprinkling on cakes, unfortunately. So the usage, it says here what proportions you would use. So soap base if you're using it in nail polish, eyeshadows, makeup powders, and then also epoxy. It doesn't actually say anything about polymer clay, but as an experienced person with polymer clay, it's absolutely fine. It really does depend on what you're making as to what you use. But I happen to know, I have actually tried this before, and it does go on quite dusty. So it's use it very sparingly, which is good because there's quite a bit of it. Now it does say up here that Arteza is available in a variety of sets and colours. And I happen to know that at the moment, this one is out of stock, so you can't get 35 colours, but you can get 60 for £37.99. It does seem quite a lot of money, but if you look at the amount that you actually get, I mean, I've got 35 here, and to be honest with you, that's all I would need. And it's quite I would say that anything to do with polymer clay and Mica Powders is more of an investment than it is anything else. So all of these little bottles here are plastic, so they'd be handy obviously once they're used to, you know, refill beads or something like that. I always look at the packaging of things that I use and think, oh, how can I use that after? So that would be one of the handy uses. There are loads of colours here. So this one is called Ballerina Glow, and there's a very similar one, and this is called Sage Glow. I happen to know that when this one goes on, it's got more of a metallic look, so it is going to take a little bit of time just to get used to what does what, and I would always use a scrap piece of clay to start off with, so you can tell what sort of colour this is going to come out. And this one is called Periwinkle Glow, and I can tell from looking at it, you may not be able to see on the camera there, but it's got almost a metallic-y look and slightly sort of purpley sort of shimmer to it. So if you were to put this on white clay, it would probably turn it a different colour. And then there's lots of others as well. So there's blues, more of a purpley colour, more purple. So I've got lots of different ones here. As I said, they've all got different names. So for example, this one's called Moss Green, and I've used this one before. I happen to know that it's really nice on any leaves that you make. It does give it a bit of a shimmery gold, so that depends on whether you like that sort of look. All of these do have a metallic-y look to them when they go on. So if you're looking for a sort of a more matte colour, there are plenty of other brands out there, but I do like these for that reason. They do go quite a nice shade. I like the little box as well because it keeps everything really neat. It's quite strong and it's easily storable like this. So what I'm going to do now is make something with the products. So I just had a complete brainwave. I've been staring at this book for ages. I've had this sort of journal thing for quite a while. I use it for all my fabulous ideas, and I go everywhere with it, so I can write stuff down. I'm not going to show you because everything will tip out, but what I am going to do is follow some of these bright designs that I've got that's on here from the Arteza set. So because I've got so many bright colours to choose from, I'm going to make a design on this glass, make it from these sort of colours. So as I said, there's absolutely loads. So with this, I'm going to go with a real tropical kind of look. It's already got some little markings in it already, but the bumps are on the inside, so it's actually smooth on the outside, which is really nice. I was looking at this and these look a bit like raindrops. So what I'm going to do is create the design around here, and I'm going to make it with the kind of a tropical flower look. So as you can see on here, there's loads of colours, and I like to get something visual so I could have a look at something and then make it into something real. So here we go. So the only thing I've added to my tools is the craft knife, based on the fact that I do need that. But everything else I'm going to do with the tools that I've got with the set, just to see how they work really, more than anything. Okay, so this is Periwinkle green, and this is literally straight out the packet. Absolutely amazing, soft already. I didn't have to do hardly any conditioning. I've only had it in my hands maybe 30 seconds and it's all ready to go, so that's brilliant news. So I'm just going to roll this flat. Now this is really sticky, so when you do roll it, it might be a little harder to bring off the tile. Now I'm going to use my craft knife to make some leaves, and with that I'm just going to freehand some big leaves like this. So I'm going to try this one out first. So it's got like a beveled edge to it. I don't even know if that's the right word really. So it's got sort of quite a sharp for plastic anyway. So I'm going to use this to make the patterns in the leaves. So what I found with this is actually really sharp. Because the clay is really soft, this works ever so well. So as you can see on here, I went a bit further down and created some deeper marks in it. I'm just going to create a deeper line here, and I'm doing it sort of haphazardly really, because I like the differences. I don't like everything sort of completely uniform, particularly when creating leaves. I like to get them looking as natural as possible. So yeah, this is a really good tool to have actually, and it might become one of my favourites, to be honest. As I said, it is quite sharp and does have quite a nice feel to it as well. So I'm going to start now, bring these up. Now I would normally use a tissue blade, but as this is quite sharp, it's actually working really well in the place of a tissue blade, so you don't need one with this. Right, so now for the olive green. Now I want to use this because although it's a bit of a weird colour, it does actually feature in a lot of tropical sort of looks, and although it's a strange colour to start off with, I don't know, I quite like it for this, and it gives a bit of a mixture in colours. I've noticed that different colours seem to have a different consistency. So this one here that I used first, the Parakeet Green, was really soft. This one wasn't quite as soft, and this one is even harder, which is very strange. So it'll be interesting as I go along to see how each one does. They do stain, the other two colours stained my hands quite a bit, whereas this one isn't, so it's sort of taken off the colours I had on there. And again, with greens and things like that, I always use all the same sort of colours together, and sometimes you come out with some really nice colours. Okay, so what I've done here is I'm creating lots and lots of texture, and the reason for that is because the more texture on something, I'm just getting this little thingy back in place here. Doesn't really matter how it goes because they're all vines and flowers and little leaves and things, so however you want them to go really, it's kind of up to you. I'm just going to bring this one around a little bit. Sometimes it can get a bit fiddly. This clay is very soft, so as I said on the sort of the introduction bit, it can be a little bit more fiddly, but it is great for people who are just starting out because less conditioning and it becomes more fun. So I've just moved that around a little bit. So I'm creating kind of like a wild look, so I'm just going by my little book in front of me and just trying to create lots of different textures, and seeing sort of what I can come up with. I'm going to try and keep them as flat as possible. The flatter they are, the better, based on the fact that there's less to snap. If everything was lifting off here, I would have to have something on it to make sure it's secured down. When I do start making the flowers, they are going to come out a little bit, but you will see how I secure them in place. So what I'm doing here is I'm just creating some little balls. Again, this is all for texture and interest, just placing them wherever I think is going to look nice. And this is again a different green, so I'm going for a very bright tropical look, and with that comes with a lot more texture, and I'll put some texture on these balls in just a minute. I decided to get out my dotting tool for this one because I find that creating the dots with the other one was a bit blunt, and I wanted to make it look my way. Right, so I've made some of the flowers to go around the outside, and I had a look at doing them in this sort of style here with the little white bits poking out. I think that looks really sweet. So this I actually really like. I've never used this before, but as you can tell from how I made them, you literally ball up a little piece of clay like this, push it in, get the little edges to mark out the clay, and then bring that down very gently because this clay is quite soft, and then by doing that it comes out and you get a little flower. I think that works out really well. I've never used this before, so I will definitely be using this a bit more often. So what I'm going to do now is carry on and make the inner parts of all the little flowers that I've just put around here. Right, so this is how far I've got. So the colour and the flowers are now building up. I'm going to make some big leaves now to fill in these little gaps here and make the flowers stand out as it would do normally in more of a tropical sort of look, and then it will be ready for mica powder and glitter. So for the leaves, I just literally squash down a little ball, make a line and some fairly big lines down this side, making sure that some of them go through. Lift it off, and then I pinch either end, giving it a bit of shape. And then pop this underneath here, give it a bit of a press so it sticks to the flowers, and then pop it in like that. So I'm just going to do a few more now. Right, so I've got out the mica powders and the glitters. This is magenta, and these are obviously by Arteza. This one is pure gold, and this one is lettuce green. And then the glitters are not by Arteza, but these have been carefully selected by my other half, thinking he's funny. So apparently I've got to use all of these, so let's just hope it doesn't turn into a complete monstrosity. So here we go. Well, that was a lot of fun. Thanks for watching the tutorial. So what are my views on Arteza? I think the clay is really soft. I think it will work well for someone who doesn't like conditioning clay, or you have to struggle with that sort of thing, or if you're a little young one, if you've got kids that like to use clay but you don't want to mess around with any of the conditioning, it's going to work brilliantly for that. The tools that I found I've got here, they're absolutely brilliant. This one, never used it before, but worked absolutely brilliantly to make the little flowers, as you saw. These are actually quite sharp, considering these are made of plastic. I think they're brilliant. I'm actually glad I used them because it gives me an opportunity to say that these are actually well worth getting. The only thing that's missing really is a little instruction booklet. Other than that, I think it's absolutely great. Mica Powders, they go on a bit dustier, and I think they're more shimmery, and they have like almost a goldy effect to most of them. But as you saw in the video, they do just as well as any other that I've used, and I will continue using them, so they're really good. So in my review, I'd recommend them. Okay, so I'm going to show you the finished result now. So here we are, all the way around. Lots of little flowers there. I'm just going to grab one of these little things so I can point out. So here is like the little tubey flowers. I've never done these before, but by using this tool here, I just found it so easy, as I showed you, and I just thought, well, that matched my book, and I just wanted to give it a little go. I used mica powders and glitter as I always do, but the set itself, the mica powders, and I think it's done absolutely brilliantly. There's no darkness on anything. It baked really well. So yeah, it's a great little set for someone who wants to make little crafts like this. You don't use too much clay. They do look small, but to be honest with you, I didn't use a lot, and then some of the clay I mixed together to make other colours, as I normally do, and I think it turned out really nice. So now all I've got to do is put a little candle in it, and away it will go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. I'm glad I used the only thing that's missing is perhaps a little instruction booklet or something like that, but that's what YouTube's for, and hi, that's me. Oh, cheese. Oh, cheese. Oh, cheese. Oh, cheese.